didn't think it would change anything. Not really. Just 7 days. 7 days following a man who lived with absolute discipline. No shortcuts, no excuses, no wasted time. Just a relentless adherence to a code I didn't yet understand. At first it felt unnecessary, extreme even, but I was curious, because from the outside, his life looked simple. Calm, controlled, focused. There was a gravity to him, a weight that suggested he knew exactly where he was going. And mine, constant noise, distractions, delays, half-finished goals, 1,000 tabs open in my mind, and none of them loading. So I decided to do something different. I was tired of being a passenger in my own life. I wanted to see what was on the other side. For 7 days, I would live exactly like him. No changes, no adjustments. Just follow and see what happens when the noise stops. Day 1 started before the sun. The world was still dark. The air was cold, and the first test had already begun. No alarm snooze, no hesitation. He stood up immediately. It was as if the concept of 5 more minutes didn't exist in his world. No phone, no scrolling, just silence. And that's when I felt it. The discomfort. The sheer weight of having nothing to distract me. Because the moment I reached for my phone, I stopped and realized that was my default. My brain was searching for a hit of dopamine before I even knew I was awake. Not intention, reaction. I was a slave to a device I thought I controlled. This was the first crack in my reality. We didn't speak much. There was no need for small talk. No need to fill the air with empty words. Just the sound of footsteps on the gravel. There was no motivation, no hype, no grind culture slogans, just action. He didn't need to be told to move. He just moved. He made his bed. Slow, precise, like it was the most important task of the day. Every corner tucked, every wrinkle smoothed. And I remember thinking, why does this even matter? Why waste 5 minutes on something you're just going to mess up tonight? But I followed. I tried to match his precision. I tried to care about the small things, even when they felt insignificant, especially then. Then came movement. Not intense, not extreme, just consistent. Stretching, walking, breathing. It wasn't about the body, it was about the rhythm. And something strange happened. My body woke up. But more than that, my mind did. The internal engine was finally starting to hum. Still no phone, no news, no outside world leaking in, just space. And I wasn't used to that. The silence was starting to feel heavy. Because silence felt loud. When you have nothing to drown out your own thoughts, they become deafening. Every doubt, every fear started to surface. By mid-morning, we were already working. No delays, no overthinking. He sat down and started. He didn't check his emails first. He didn't get ready to work. No planning for hours, no waiting for the right mood, just focus. He treated the work like a natural consequence of his existence. It was inevitable. And I struggled. Every few minutes I wanted to escape. I wanted to check the time. I wanted a coffee. I wanted anything to break the tension of focus. But he didn't move. Not once. That's when it hit me. Discipline isn't intensity, it's stability. It's the ability to stay in the fire until it becomes a warmth. Day 2 was harder, because now there was no novelty. The experiment was no longer a fun story I could tell. It was just the reality of the clock. Wake up, silence, move, work, repeat. This is where I usually quit, when the shiny new feeling dies and the boring work of transformation begins. But he didn't. Same pace, same focus. No negotiation with the lazy voice in his head. That voice was there, but he had stopped listening to it years ago. He didn't ask himself, do I feel like it? He only asked, is this what needs to be done? And since the answer was yes, the action followed, without fail. Day 3. My mind started fighting back. Hard. It felt like a physical weight, a screaming demand for the old, comfortable chaos. This isn't necessary. You deserve a break. Just check your phone for a second. The justifications were sophisticated. They sounded like common sense. That voice got louder, more convincing, more persistent. It used my own logic against me. It told me I was wasting my time by being so extreme. But something was different. I didn't immediately obey it. For the first time, I could see the voice for what it was, a defense mechanism, a habit trying to survive. And that awareness created space to choose. I wasn't just a reflex anymore, I was an observer. That was the most powerful thing I'd ever felt. Day 4, something shifted, subtly, like a ship finally catching the wind after being stuck in the doldrums. The resistance was still there, but it was quiet. The resistance didn't disappear. It just became a background noise I didn't care about. Starting tasks felt expected, not like a battle, just a step. Staying focused felt possible. The itch to check my phone was still there, but it didn't have teeth anymore. I could feel it and let it go, without effort. I didn't need to force everything anymore. Some things started to feel automatic. My body was learning the new script. My brain was rewiring its own pathways. That scared me, because I realized this is how I built the bad habits too, through repetition, through the quiet daily decision to not choose. Day 5, I noticed his environment, truly noticed it. It wasn't just clean, it was intentional. Every object had a reason, every distraction was physically removed. No distractions, no clutter, nothing pulling his attention away. He didn't have to fight the urge to watch TV because there was no TV in the room. He had won the battle before it started. And I looked at my own life, messy, noisy, filled with things I didn't need but couldn't let go of. My environment was a minefield of distractions I'd set for myself. And suddenly it made sense. He didn't need more discipline. He just had fewer obstacles. He wasn't stronger. His path was just clearer. He had engineered his own focus. Day 6. Time felt different. Longer, slower, more real. The minutes weren't just slipping through my fingers like water. They were heavy, solid things. Because I wasn't constantly escaping it. I wasn't burying every empty second in a screen. I was just there, present, in the actual world, with my actual self. No endless scrolling, no constant stimulation, no digital noise, just the raw data of life. It was overwhelming at first. Then it was beautiful. And in that space, clarity appeared. Not the fake clarity of a plan, but the real clarity of knowing. What matters, what doesn't, what I've been avoiding. Things I couldn't see before, because I was always distracted by the trivial. I had been living in a shallow pond when there was an entire ocean beneath the surface. Day 7. Something changed completely, not externally. The room was the same, the routine was the same, but the man inside was different. Internally, I felt in control. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't reacting to the world. I wasn't a leaf in a storm. I was the wind. I was the choice. Choosing when to start, choosing when to stop, choosing what to focus on. These weren't burdens anymore. They were privileges. They were my power. And that feeling was powerful, because I realized something that changed everything. This wasn't about him. It was never about him. It was about me. It was about removing everything that was controlling me. The invisible strings of the phone, the addictive hum of the noise, the habits I never questioned. And replacing them with intention, with the simple, quiet decision to be the author of my own seconds, to own my attention before someone else sold it. Here's the truth I didn't expect. He wasn't special. He wasn't born with a different brain. He didn't have a superpower that I was missing. He was just a man. He didn't have more willpower, more energy, more time. He just stopped fighting the world and started building his own. He stopped being a victim of his impulses. He just removed the chaos and built structure. He understood that a life without structure is just a series of accidents. He chose to build a house instead of living in a tent. And over time, that structure became identity. It wasn't something he did anymore. It was who he was. The effort had been replaced by existence. He didn't act disciplined. He was disciplined. The mask had become the man. And because of that, there was no more struggle. Just flow, just peace. 7 days didn't change my life. I'm not a different person yet, but it showed me exactly why it wasn't changing. It showed me the bars of the cage I'd built for myself. Not lack of goals. I had plenty of those. Not lack of knowledge. I knew what to do. It was a lack of control. a lack of the ability to hold my own hand steady. And control doesn't come from motivation. It doesn't come from a speech or a video. It comes from what you do when you don't feel like doing anything. That's the only time it counts. So now the question isn't, can you do this for 7 days? You can. Anyone can survive a week. The real question is, what happens on day 8 when no one is watching? Do you go back to the noise, or do you continue the silence, because that's where the difference is made? Not in the experiment, but in the decision after it. That's where you become. Because discipline isn't built in moments of intensity, it's built in repetition. The quiet, consistent, unnoticed choices you make when the world is asleep. Until one day, you look at yourself and realize you're no longer the same person. You don't have to try anymore. You just are. You are the discipline you practiced. So don't wait for motivation. It's a fair weather friend. Don't wait for the perfect time. It doesn't exist. Start small, stay consistent, and give it 7 days. Just 7. Not to change your life overnight, but to finally see what's been holding it back. To finally meet the person you could be. If you just stopped running, stay focused, build the system, become the identity. I'll see you on day 8.